John Henry Holliday, better known as Doc Holliday, was a gambler, a gentleman, a gunman and a loyal friend. He lived a life that was both interesting and tragic, with ups and downs that are still talked about today. In this video, we will explore the life of Doc Holliday, from growing up in the South to being a notorious figure in the American West. We will delve into his relationships, his achievements and legacy, shedding light on the man behind this legend. Holliday's father, Henry B. Holliday, had an impressive military background, having served in a number of wars, including the Cherokee Indian War and the Mexican-American War. During the Civil War, he rose to the rank of major in the Union Army. After returning home from the Mexican-American War, Henry Holliday brought with him an orphaned Mexican boy named Francisco Hidalgo. In 1849, Henry Holliday married Alice Jane McKay, and the couple had a daughter named Martha Eleonora, who unfortunately passed away as a child. On August 14, 1851, John Henry Doc Holliday was born. He was baptized at Griffin's First Presbyterian Church in 1852. Major Holliday, Doc Holliday's father, inherited a piece of land in Valdosta, Georgia in 1857. The family relocated to Lowndes County, where John Henry attended the Valdosta Institute for his elementary education. There, he studied a variety of languages, including Greek, Latin, and French. Major Holliday quickly became an esteemed member of the community in Valdosta. He served 2 terms as mayor and held several other positions, such as secretary of the County Agricultural Association, member of the Masonic Lodge, Union Veterans Camp secretary, and local elections director. Tragedy struck the family when John was just 15 years old. His mother, Alice, died from tuberculosis on September 16, 1866. This loss was especially difficult for John, as he had been very close to his mother. Adding to the young man's sorrow, his father remarried only 3 months after Alice's passing. Overall, the family's move to Valdosta and Major Holliday's involvement in the community had a significant impact on John's upbringing. His education, as well as his father's prominent role in the town, set the stage for the events that would later shape Doc Holliday's life. In 1870, he enrolled in college in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Immediately after graduation, Doc Holliday began working as a dentist at Dr. Arthur C. Ford's office in Atlanta, Georgia. On January 2, 1875, the first recorded gunfight involving Doc Holliday occurred. He got into an argument with Austin, a local tavern owner, and it quickly escalated into a violent encounter. Despite multiple shots being fired, no one was injured, and both men were arrested. The incident was reported in the Dallas Weekly Herald. However, a few days later, another disagreement arose, and Doc fatally shot a prominent citizen with 2 well-aimed bullets. Fearing for his safety, he fled Dallas with the authorities hot on his trail. He sought refuge in Jacksboro, Texas, a chaotic and lawless cowboy town near an army post. There, he found work as a faro dealer, armed with a gun slung around his waist and another in a shoulder holster, along with a knife. After honing his shooting skills, Doc was involved in 3 more gunfights in a short period of time. Although no one was killed in these altercations, no legal action was taken against him due to the town's lawless nature. Another dispute led to violence, and this time, Doc fatally shot a soldier from Fort Richardson. This incident prompted the U.S. government to launch an investigation into Doc's actions. A reward was issued for his capture, and he was aggressively pursued by the Army, the Texas Rangers, the U.S. Sheriff, local attorneys, and ordinary citizens who sought to collect the bounty. Holliday was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Knowing that a drier and warmer climate could slow his decline in health, Holliday moved to Dallas, Texas, the last major city before the western frontier. Upon arriving in Dallas, Holliday teamed up with a friend of his father's, Dr. John A. Seeger. They won awards for their dental work at the North Texas Agricultural, Mechanical and Bloodstock Association annual fair at the Dallas County Fair. They received all 3 awards: Best Set of Gold Teeth, best set of vulcanized rubber teeth and best set of artificial teeth and dentalware. With coughs from tuberculosis, his dental work gradually declined. Meanwhile, Holliday found he had some gambling skills, and he quickly made it his main source of income. On May 12, 1874, Holliday and 12 others were indicted in Dallas for illegal gambling. After his illness, Holliday moved to Fort Griffin, Texas, where he found a job dealing cards at John Shanzy's Tavern. It was here that he met Mary Catherine Big Nose Kate Horney, a tough and independent woman who occasionally worked as a prostitute. Despite her good education, Horney chose to live the life of a prostitute because of the freedom it brought her. The two developed feelings, and she is the only woman known to have held Holliday's heart. According to various accounts, in 1878, Wyatt Earp had previously banished two cowboys, Toby Driscoll and Ed Morrison, from Wichita. During the summer, these two cowboys and 24 others rode into Dodge City and wreaked havoc by bombarding the town as they galloped down Front Street. They then entered the Long Branch Saloon, vandalizing the room and harassing patrons. Earp ran to the scene when he heard the noise and was immediately confronted by a large group of cowboys pointing guns at him. However, in another version of the story, only 3 to 5 cowboys participate. Despite that, Holliday was said to be playing cards at the back of the room when he saw the commotion and pulled out his gun, pointing it at Morrison's head. He then forces Morrison and his men to disarm, rescuing Earp from a potentially fatal situation. Interestingly, there was no newspaper in Dodge City covering this confrontation at the time, so the exact details of what happened are still unclear. Despite this, Earp always credits Holliday for saving his life that day, and the two developed a close friendship. Gunfight at OK Corral. On October 26, 1881, Virgil Earp was both a vice marshal of the United States and the sheriff of Tombstone. He received reports that the cowboys they had repeatedly confronted were armed in violation of a city ordinance requiring them to deposit their weapons at a pub or stables shortly after arriving in town. A gunfight erupted between the Earps and troublemakers in an alley off Fremont Street, resulting in the deaths of Billy Clanton, Frank McLaury, and Tom McLaury, and injuries to Virgil and Morgan Earp. The Earps and Doc Holliday were tried but found innocent of murder. Wyatt and Doc sought revenge on those who killed Morgan, and in a year, they eliminated many outlaws, including Frank Stillwell, Curly Bill Brocious, and others. Wyatt and Doc left Tombstone, never to return but vowing to seek revenge on John Ringo, Ike Clanton, Pete Spence, and Hank Swilling. They left Silver City and took the train to Colorado from Deming. This gunfight is not only a fight between men with guns in their hands, but also a fight for money and power. This fight has become one of the most fascinating and controversial historical events. On July 14, 1882, Holliday's longtime nemesis Johnny Ringo was found dead in a low branch of a large tree in the West Turkish Creek Valley near Chiricahua Peak, Arizona Territory. At the end of Tombstone, Holliday responds to Ringo's challenge to a duel, and he wins. But in fact, the Pueblo Daily Chieftain reports that Holliday was seen in Salida, Colorado on July 7, more than 550 miles 890 kilometers from where Ringo's body was found. And then in Leadville on July 18. Holliday biographer Karen Holliday Tanner notes that there is still impending murder warrant in Arizona for Holliday's arrest, making it hard for him to choose to return to Arizona at that moment. So Johnny Ringo's death is still a big mystery that has not been solved so far. The last days and death. Holliday's health continued to deteriorate. A realist, Doc is not a believer in miracle cures, but hopes that Yampa hot springs and sulfur vapors can improve his health. In May 1887, he arrived at the fashionable Glenwood Hotel in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Despite his optimism, his condition only worsened, and he spent the last 57 days of his life in bed at the hotel. 14 of those days were spent in a delirious state. On November 8, 1887, Holliday suddenly woke up with clear eyes and asked for a glass of whiskey. After drinking with amusement, he looked down at his bare feet and remarked, "That's funny," and he passed away. Before dying, Holliday has always believed that he will end his life in a more dramatic way, possibly a gunfight with his arch-rival, on a vast western landscape that many know. Holliday's final resting place is at Glenwood Springs Cemetery, set on a steep hillside overlooking the valley below. Despite his reputation as a gunfighter, Holliday is not invincible. He narrowly escaped death on 9 different occasions, including 4 attempts to hang him and 5 gunshot wounds. He is said to have killed a number of men, but the exact number is unknown. Doc Holliday's legacy lives on, not only as a legendary gunfighter of the Wild West, but as a symbol of resilience, loyalty, and courage in the face of adversity. Doc Holliday has become a compelling character, inspiring countless stories, movies, and books through his life, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. Always living with passion and big goals, anything can work. Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful.